Occupying space, Brian. That's about it. That's great. Nothing more happens, really.
That's good to hear.
Have you and
that's crazy. Every state
Patrick been able to get together and ride some bikes?
Wow.
Yeah, we did.
That's wild.
Yeah, hey Larry. We actually did a. Hold on one second.
Good morning, Carol.
Morning, Twyla. Man, that's.
Good morning, young man.
Hey there, Mary. How are you?
Are you?
Oh, thank you.
In this seat or are you in this?
Enjoy your home.
Very cool.
Yeah, mornings are never too. For him to get out in the morning is really difficult, so he didn't need, he was last night, he said, I don't think I'll try.
Yeah.
I got quiet. He tells me when.
The mornings are
He tells me what the
a lot of times going out late on the beach calendar, stuff like that. Once I've up for a while.
Yeah, they have one comment, it's on my family ballistic. Anyone can be a farmer. Bloomberg said, anyone can be a farmer.
I don't know, man.
My whole family for generations are farmers. No fun.
My family was farmers as well.
To see you.
Oh, not just
I'm not much help anymore.
Well,
50s cars.
So I was going to tell you, I talked to George regarding
Oh my God, it was all chopped.
and George is like, I have never spoken to him at all about anything like that.
How you doing?
And my husband
Well, they were.
said, he had a conversation.
Busy these days, Katie?
We're getting there, it's a little slow. When it's, yeah, when it's snowy, talk about the galleries and things like that, they sound. Always stuff going on. My George Leo said, yeah, no, there was never any conversation like that.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's really identified.
I don't know, and as a matter of fact, George Leo is like, he knows because he does a
So
lot of
sometimes you have to
stuff
rule
around
out
here as
other
far
ones
as
to
having
get to
to
the right
do repair.
Oh, yeah,
If he found anything like that,
it's on an
he
email.
would be,
I'll send it.
having
Okay.
to report.
Oh,
So, anyway.
She's yeah. Let me put it this way. Doesn't have much.
Those are wild, huh?
Yeah, that's one. Look at that. Do you have help in your?
We're gonna sit back
Well,
there.
I am. I need to plug in.
You know, I have a guy
How's your week?
showing, you know.
Pretty stressful.
But in the house, you know. So, well, hi, James.
Good to see both of you.
Especially
Bob. Yes, yeah, oh, great.
Yeah. How you doing, Gordon? Hey, you do, yeah. How you doing, Lloyd? Howdy. Yeah, you behaving yourself?
No.
No.
You can see that. You can see that.
Morning.
Wow, yeah, that would be a little stressful.
So, yeah. Good morning, Mary.
How are you? Good. I'm glad you got to go to Amtrak.
Hey, how was the trip to
Yesterday.
I would have if I didn't.
Got
Oh, it was great. Yeah, well, it was fun. It wasn't real warm the whole time. It was warm. Summer.
But you were in Austin, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it was great.
and
The wedding was outside. It was 6 o'clock at night. And it was chilly.
Like that.
Okay, I've been,
Tents and blankets.
Oh, is that right?
Not seriously.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we have it. I thought it was like,
You know, lamb
So.
cooked right is really good.
Oh, yes, it is.
Really is.
Yeah,
I thought it was
there's a
lip
flavor to
smacking.
it, yeah. And that's
okay,
good too.
cool.
In fact, I'd like to smack my lips on sport.
Really nice cars, right? Like fancy cars?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lamb ribs.
and those change every
Yeah,
month.
it's perfect.
Like I have a big boy that sounds in train.
They're good.
Really like lamb
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Then you get some 50s cars, and that's where I was a teenager in the 50s.
That's a
yeah,
pretty
we
one.
go over here, out back on
Thank goodness you
Graham
weren't
Lamb
driving
chop.
that. We thought a lot
You guys are, too.
Yeah.
Comes along with the snow blower.
Oh,
all
okay.
around.
And that's good.
Yeah.
I've never, I don't think I've ever.
Jones, Brian, we're just getting
I just.
Yeah, I did. We had,
You know, that's a little different story.
Okay.
like an inch, inch and a half.
I felt kind of bad, 'cause I thought little boats.
But I had the guy come in anyway,
For a little
I
while.
wanted to get that going.
I did 80.
Pretty good rain, you know.
Oh, how cool.
And I wanted to get it off of there.
Karen's.
Oh, you can give it to Twyla first, excuse me.
Yeah, I didn't mean to walk away, I just wanted to see.
Anyway, I was trying to sweep a little bit off of the porch, you know. I got it done. Hi, Katie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm still here, still occupying space.
Good, that's me. I'm
That's about it.
blessed and I didn't have an opportunity.
Oh, you guys need a.
More than
I always
space.
like. I do. I can look at it on my
Gets
iPad, but it's nice.
Well, yeah, but it's like George Leo said.
Okay, great. I don't know where you want to talk about it in old or new, or you guys tell me. Still on old.
But I think, because Phil did talk to him about the original Dale Cemetery.
Okay. All right. Okay, thanks.
While you want to get there, you want to talk about the debriefing on the trip to Hannah.
I do.
Do I want to talk about it?
We're always not talking as it is.
And show us one of your new cars.
Yeah.
You look good.
I always wanted a 57 Chevy. Oh, that's what my dad had. Oh, that's neat, yeah. Dad, we thought we were like, oh,
So
yeah.
Laura, we thought you don't have to sit over there.
Oh, I need to be plugged in, unfortunately, my laptop is about to die.
Yeah, my friends.
Okay.
I'll still make sure I chime in
Their
on
parents
my.
had a 57. Yeah. Oh, black.
Well, everybody,
Bel Air.
you've been caught up in the visiting and so. Are you there, Jill?
Borrow your scribble.
Hello, Jill.
I'm here.
All right.
All good.
Good to hear you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Everybody says hello.
Gates.
Which language, Wally?
Find me in.
Sign her in,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Down that one.
Okay, everyone, welcome back. February meeting, and we'll hereby call the meeting to order. And did everyone have a chance to read the minutes?
Yes, they came out a little late.
I had read through.
Oh, well, that's nice. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I so move.
Second.
Bob?
Oh, well, I can second it.
Bob, second by Bob
Did
Morgan.
Bob actually have a chance to read the minutes? He's seconding something that I think he hasn't seen. Not to be too picky here,
Well,
but
that's a good point, though.
Good boy, yeah.
Probably better be somebody else.
Somebody else.
I second them.
okay. Sorry, Bob, I didn't mean
Well, that's
to.
excellent.
No, that's correct, you're right.
Yeah, when you get investigated by a congressional committee, we want to make sure we have that.
Yeah.
Oh, we know that.
No.
Excuse me. You better not get into
I
politics.
had a second, it could have been a conflict.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve today's agenda.
Also move.
Got that? Scott, second?
I'll
Twyla
second.
seconds.
All right,
Okay, moved and
good,
seconded
good,
that
good, good.
we approve today's agenda. Number 5 is public comment, and I can't remember if Maureen replied all or not, but she's having some renovations done on her apartment today, so, and Paul's out of town, so she's not with us today. She did some renovation in the last year or two, so she's going on through her unit and getting it all spruced up, it sounds like. And then treasurer's report. Mr. Brian?
I'm going to abdicate to Brian about it.
Well, Bob, you have the historic donations balance, so you want to go ahead and give that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm out of work. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, well, it's $994.71 here. Go ahead on. That's all I can say about it.
Okay.
$9.91, okay, thank you.
And Brian?
Yeah, historic preservation account balance is $5,000, so nothing's been spent to date for 2020.
So did you do that and renewal out of last year's budget?
No, it'll come out of this, but it just hasn't hit yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
Is it still $25?
Yep.
Is it 20? I thought maybe it went up to 35. I don't know. Yeah, that went up, about break the bank there, huh? Okay. I'll get rolling here this year, and we'll see about goal in the near future to come up with some plans that involve spending our town preservation account. Okay. Debriefing on the museum opening on February 1st. Anybody have any reactions to that? We've had a lot of people, I think. Yeah. We've been having a lot of visitors these last few months, and I keep thinking the correlation, at least, is the e-newsletter, so.
I think it's helping, for sure.
Sure looks like it, huh? I think Karen presented at the board meeting. I think, Vicki, you were there too.
Yes.
Yeah, at the board meeting for our work plan presentation, Wally and Vicki and I were there. I went over the things that we do every year that are recurring every year. And then when I got into the new stuff we're planning, the board was really in favor of our resurrecting the cemetery tour when we can. They were quite enthused about getting that going again. They also had, Kevin had questions on our oral histories and the access to them. And I told them that they are mostly down at Carnegie. And subsequent to that, Larry got in touch with Wendy Hall and found out exactly how you can access those oral histories online. They are accessible online. And then I think the board is interested in having accessibility to those in our museum also, because we have some downstairs, and I wasn't sure what all we had downstairs at the museum. So that's possibly something we can be working on this year, is getting access to those for people that might want to stop in the museum and actually listen to them.
Good idea.
At the end of all that discussion, the board approved our 2020 work plan.
Very good. Thanks for doing that.
And thanks to Vicki for coming along.
Standing there doing nothing.
Well, not necessarily.
Did a whole lot more than you think. I didn't have to.
Yeah, he didn't have to do it, that's what he told me.
Take a little pressure off, huh, Wally?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have, oh darn it, the lady's name slips my mind right at the moment, who was in charge of so many of our interviews out here at Superior via Carnegie. She since passed away, but she provided us with the transcripts and then later I think we even had most all of the DVDs.
So her last name's Steele?
Yes, Shirley Steele.
Yes.
Shirley Steele.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Wally. So, at any rate, so those are available, but I think that's interesting prospect. You know, we haven't had people come do research in our library or museum yet. And I think we have to do some tidying up to do things like that before it's a practical thing. But,
So there's, you can access them online.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that, so I would be interested in learning how to get there too. So maybe it can get published in our newsletter.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, Larry, when you sent that answer to me, did you send it to everybody or just me? I think it was just me.
Just you, I think.
Yeah, I could forward it out to everybody, what Larry sent me that came from Wendy Hall. Because I'm going to be forwarding all that to the board so they know
Yeah.
the additional information that we got.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Karen. Okay. Oh, I did not put this next one on here, so.
I put it on there.
Yeah, so I wasn't there on February 10th because I gave a program on the shootout at the Superior Depot up at Loveland Historical Society, and you might remember that was a snowy evening, and so had a low turnout, but enthusiastic, and a drive home where I had to really concentrate on what I was doing, so. But I think
You were
it
very
would-
brave.
Thank you.
I didn't even like driving from here up to home.
So that one's fine. It was nice museum. It's right on Main Street. Right. It's on the block off Main Street, I guess, technically, but it's mostly an art museum. You know, it's some history in it, but it's there's such a big artist presence in Loveland, so they had a lot of. They even had that one about. I saw it on TV, and I forgot about it until I saw it again, but I think it was women bending glass or something like that. It's about making neon signs and as works of art, so it was kind of cool. Okay, was at the round table yesterday, and so yesterday's meeting was almost strictly dedicated to getting ready for the Square Nail Awards for 2020, so requests have gone out for nominations and what have you. And let's see. That's about it, really.
Did you go in January? I had put
No,
January down there too.
Yeah, I know.
Because that happened after our last meeting.
That's the day we left, I think. So we didn't
Oh,
go.
okay, yeah, okay.
So that's the Heritage Roundtable. Oh, that's what I was going to say. It's going to be May 11th, I believe. Is that the Monday, the day after Mother's Day? If that's what it is, that's our date, so.
And that's the next roundtable?
So that's the next roundtable next month. That's going to be the Square Nail Awards, where we have
The Square Nails on May
presentation of.
11th up in Chautauqua.
Yeah, it's a program. We have presentations of various recognitions to preservationists and authors and home, is the right word, redoing old homes rather than having destroyed and things like that, so.
It's a very interesting program to go to. Encourage everybody to go.
What day is
And
that?
they serve refreshments.
What-
May 11th.
May 11th.
May 11th?
Cross-checking on May 11th,
Yeah, you can eat your dinner.
Yeah.
Sort of.
graze away. I've asked Twyla to talk about the ANFRAM meeting on Monday.
Yes, it was, I had never been to one before. It was very interesting. I didn't know really what it was all about until I got there. So it was all the different museums in the Denver area, Lyons, Westminster, and they all gave their report, a little 3-minute, like Larry did too. Good job. And some other nice people. There were probably 25 people there. And then the best part was going through through the Forney Museum, and it was wonderful. We got, like Larry said, a back room, 2 huge rooms more, full of cars and all kinds of repair and disrepair and beautiful and trains in the front part, the big boy. And they had a 50s cars, which is where I grew up, and so did Larry, and probably many, when we were teenagers, they were all the 50s cars. And they had a special, I guess every 3 months, they changed the exhibit, and they put a special one in. And we happened to be there for that one, so it was really nice.
There's all the hot rods and lead sleds and lowriders and that kind of thing. So there's some great paint jobs.
Oh,
Great
thank
flame
goodness.
jobs. on it.
Yeah, I'd steal one of those. But it was a very, very nice day, so appreciate it.
And we've got some new officers. It's been almost a clean sweep, I think. So the president now is only probably in his 30s, so I think that's some new perspective, maybe some new stimulation, revive that trend somewhat. So,
Young, and I think you,
yeah. Yes, that was a fun day. And they're going to have one in March, which is going to be one of the, well, they're usually every other month. They do the ones in the odd months like that, these are like a workshop or something. So in this case, it's going to be a presentation on some kind of a mapping system, which I had a little trouble following. So
yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure.
that's going to be in Westminster. Then otherwise, I'll have the regular meeting again in April. So stay tuned. Well, I don't know if there's anything new on the oral history video project. Mary or Jill?
We're ready to record. And I sound awful on recording and video, guys, but if no one else wants to jump in and be a radio announcer for 2 minutes, I will do it. And if it's too bad, maybe that'll motivate someone else to sound better. Right? But once it's recorded, then I need to adjust the timing of the videos and we'll have the prototype done. So, any volunteers?
I think you'll do great, Jill.
Mary, your name's on here and you sound so much better than I do. No pressure.
Jill, this is Laura. I'm happy to chime in on that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Laura, so if I send you the script.
Script.
Wow.
There's a script.
All right.
All you gotta do is read it, yeah.
I'm in.
I will email you that and set up time
Great.
for us to grab a coffee and go through what we can do.
That sounds perfect.
All right.
Okay, it'll be coming.
Super.
Awesome.
All right, progress.
All right, yep. You got it.
Thanks, Jill.
Yeah.
Well, Karen Walagorski, any correspondence going on these days?
Yeah, since the last meeting, Katie had requested that we send a thank you note to the Chamber of Commerce for their partnership with us on the Sports Stable Historic Photo Project. And so that's been done. No other correspondence. Any needed?
Can't think of anything.
Maybe I have a question and can,
Okay.
Bob, where did all that money come from in our donations account? Is that something we need to think?
I'll have to leave that to Brian. Like I say, I'm missing this sort of help.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look. I don't have it in front of me. I just pulled up the current balance. I'll look to see. I mean, there must have been some, I don't know if, I'm trying to recall, like,
I mean, we were down to zero. How did we get all this?
well, it was cleared out to zero, yeah. I'm trying to think
Good question.
if there's any money. Let me look into that here, because I don't remember accepting any cash over the last month and a half to put in that account.
Well, if it wasn't, it wasn't. It's only a few bucks.
Yeah, you know what? That could be a mistake where it just hasn't been, you know, when our finance department closes their books for 2019 year. I don't think they've necessarily put that account at zero yet. So I think that could be the balance. What I'm getting to is that could be the balance that was still left over at the end of 2019 after the sports stable photo project. So let me double check that. I can probably do it during the meeting here. Now that I'm actually thinking about it,
Okay.
it may still actually be zero in reality.
Yeah.
But, so that was.
The book sales still go into the general.
Books still go, yeah, into a different account, yeah. So it's gonna hang tight on that.
Okay, nice catch, Karen.
Not wandering.
Yeah.
Well, Bob's here, he's not in Belize, so.
Like I say, not much help anymore.
No, that's- Well, Brian, I hate to derail you here, but you're up next on the cemetery restoration project.
Yeah, so the update on that, I think you guys saw the work that's been completed to date with the benching and the gathering area, and obviously that perimeter trail. Right now, nothing's, obviously the weather's a little messy up there, but the next item is 3 interpretive signs to go up there. Now, I'm intentionally waiting for the Orman Roche trailhead signs. I know some are involved in that process and getting those finalized. But having said that, I think when we do these, do the 3 ones for up there, we're not going to necessarily be on a strict timeline that some of you guys are with Melissa on town staff here. I think it's a good opportunity. Karen on Parks and Rec staff and I have found a different vendor, someone we can go to who has different template design options that I think will look pretty amazing. Nothing against the ones that the town currently uses. You know, it's kind of a standard format and template, but so we'd be working with someone outside as opposed to with Melissa here. But so once we get to that point, you know, I'll work with, you know, probably Larry. I know you're part of the cemetery working group, and you did that presentation last year, the Saving Places presentation for the cemetery. I know you have some language on what we can do on the sign, and we'll work on additional people. But so yeah, that's kind of, you know, that's the next step. I'm intentionally waiting for Orman Roche stuff to get done, and then we'll move forward on that. And it won't quite be under the gun with, you know, a tight timeline. That'll make more sense when we probably talk about the interpretive signs for Orman Roche.
Worker bees will be back when the weather gets a little better then too.
Yeah.
Next phases of that.
Yeah. So that's, you know, the interpretive signs, and, you know, I think there will be still additional money, and we can kind of approach that then. I know potential headstone restoration or shoring up that perimeter fence. I think that's kind of flexible on, you know, what could be done additionally this year. So nothing's set in stone with that.
Okay.
Who's responsible for putting the interpretive part together, like the information?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah. So, I mean, we had this, long story short, we had this cemetery working group that was set up a couple years ago. It's made up of a few people from Historic Commission, a couple people from outside of here, Daryl McCool and Darcy, I forget her last name, but who kind of contributed to some of the improvements that have been made there to date. So, so I kind of initially look at people in that group being part of putting together the language on the 3 interpretive signs. But again, you know, it's really a matter of utilizing the best people who, you know, there's other people who have good insight on that. I mean, it's not going to be restricted to just them. So it's, you know, I mean, if you have it, you know,
Yeah.
you know, want to contribute to it, it's not going to be something that's restricted to, you know, flexible, I guess. If that makes sense.
So there's a separate committee just for that?
Well, yeah, so like, previous trustee Rita Dozell kind of recommended setting up a cemetery working group about 2-3 years ago. that's how that evolved. So it's not, it hasn't necessarily been, it was to kind of help, I guess, streamline the process and getting work done up there. That group hasn't formally met in a while, but I think with the interpretive signs, that's a good starting point to start with them. And then the theory is then update this group at monthly meetings and bring additional people into it if need be. So.
I would be interested in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine, because I have a mental block about the name of the organization, but the town contracted with the cemetery restoration something organization, and they're the ones that came up with the drawings and are, I guess, contracting out the work or something like that.
For what work particularly?
The cemetery, the people did the design and so forth.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Like I said, I can't.
Yeah, that's Cemetery Planning Resource Alliance.
There you go.
Yeah, CPRA, yeah. So we work with them, yeah, so that they kind of put some of the ideas and the improvement, restoration work into an actual plan and design, and, yeah, so.
Interesting, yes.
Is access to the cemetery still restricted, or?
I mean, you can still get up there. I mean, I want to say it's obvious, or,
But it's not accessible as it normally is,
You
have to walk.
It's probably muddy.
Well, you can, I mean, when we go up there, you can drive up there. It's just it's a dirt access road from, the kind of the kind of development downtown Superior, and you kind of drive up there and you go through like a cutout in the fence, and you can go around to the front of the cemetery. So yeah.
It isn't easy, Bob. You have to either walk or some,
It still has a
off-roading.
locked gate, right?
Still has a lock gate, yeah, for now.
What's the combination?
I can't tell you.
I had it written down
for
at home
everything.
and I forgot.
It's the same code you guys use for
That's the same
everything.
for everything.
1940.
1940.
Yeah.
We are in video, everyone.
Because if someone stops here, they'll tell them that's the code too. So, But Bob, to answer back to your question, at some point down the road, there's going to be, continue to be developed in a positive way, so that there's a
Paved road in there.
better vehicle access.
I know that's
to it, right? Right now, it doesn't take much to walk up there, but, if you're someone here to visit your relatives and aren't too young or wheelchair bound or something, it's not going to happen that way. So that's part of the long-term project.
So if there isn't any possible way they could actually make a little better temporary road up there? So if we started having some of our stuff done in the fall, where people could actually get to it, drive up in there to it without, and I'm not talking something paved or, just graded more or less.
Yeah, I mean, what's like, how it's accessible now is actually it's not a crazy bumpy, like terrible route to go. It's just when the weather, it's dirt, so when the weather, but I think if they knew, they're open to if you guys said, oh, we want to do a cemetery or a tombstone tour this year, and we let them know, I think they can do some things they've been very willing to do that, so I think they can make it better.
Because the last one that we did, which has been, 3, 4, 5 years ago, we had some people there at that one, that's when we had to go underneath 36, who actually were not able to walk underneath there. They had in order to do a vehicle, because they pulled into the parking lot and they couldn't walk underneath the bridge because it was so muddy in there. So they ended up not going to it, and that's why I was wondering, even if it's just strictly a graded dirt, because if it's muddy and that bad, we wouldn't probably have it in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, my husband and I were up there maybe 2-3 months ago by now, and it wasn't bad. I mean, it was dry, of course, but.
It makes a big difference.
We didn't
This
drive up.
Boulder
we
County
didn't
clay
drive
really
up
sticks to
very
your
far.
bones, that's for sure.
Where did you walk from?
The parking lot right
Oh,
by
yeah.
the stables.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
we parked there and then just
Yeah.
wound
That's
our
the
way
easiest,
up and got in.
most direct way.
Yeah, that's what we
It
had.
wasn't bad. I
Yeah.
mean, to me, I guess I didn't realize there was a road that you could drive on until we got up there.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
real well
So-
defined.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not talking about anything elaborate, just something that
Yeah.
would be smooth
It's
so
just a
that
dirt
people could
road.
drive their car in there. It's dirt,
Like a
it's
country
dirt.
road.
Yeah, that's fine. Wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, there's no other discussion on that. We'll go on to the Ormond Roche Trailhead interpretive sign. Anything to say, Katie?
Do you have it? Did you pull those out?
Yeah, the latest ones that
Yeah.
Melissa sent?
I mean,
Yeah,
even the most recent?
Yeah.
Katie, Melissa sent out another sample yesterday, I think it was, so it's getting real close, I think. We had a problem with the caption, and luckily Lindsay was able to come through and clarify it.
Yesterday was
So,
just one sign, right? Just,
right now it's,
So even older, just for people to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, let me,
I guess all those with the signs have only been with our little group.
Mhm.
But it's looking good. It's in the same format as the previous interpretive signs with that kind of maroon and brown background, I guess. I'm not very good about colors, I guess.
I'm gonna see if Brian can
yeah, I can, let me
pull
get
it
one
up.
up there now, yeah, and then I'll send the other one, yeah.
And Alan has spent a lot of time on it. I haven't really done very much at all. And Lindsay has done a lot.
Yeah, so Lindsay and Alan done most of the text work, and then
I've just been giving my
Katie and I
opinion,
have added in on visuals
as usual.
and some wording, like stuff
Sorry.
like, they had a little problem with the caption because it wasn't accurate, but I think we got it under control now.
The most recent, so that's the one,
That's the one that Melissa sent yesterday,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's gonna be two signs, one dedicated to Josephine Roach and then one for Ormond, so we've.
This one says Lindsay has that problem of having to go to work every day. It took her a while to catch up with us on that, but I think
I love the hillside view of the camp, because that's when people are standing up there looking down, that'll help them picture a little bit of what the mine camp looked like and all. That's a great.
Katie appreciates that comment.
I agree. I think that was one of the things from the start that I said, this is our opportunity for everyone to see.
Doesn't show the mine, but it shows the mine camp.
Yeah.
So when I did that last caption for that one, to get them oriented, I mentioned that on the right is the grade for the railroad, which is down the Mayhofer, what do you call it, Single Tree Trail. So that gives some orientation points there.
Yep.
Can you pull up the other one?
Yeah, do you have?
Yeah.
Good going. Good idea, Katie. Good going, Brian.
Nice. Yeah, we did
Looks great.
the joint
Yeah, it does.
schoolhouses. Yeah.
So Lindsay is responsible for the text on Roche, and Alan's the one on Ormond.
Such a shame Miss Ormond doesn't have any family, any relatives, or
Yeah, it
Miss
is,
Roach
isn't it?
for that matter, to see how we're honoring them.
I guess her children's school were her family, huh? Although it seems like it seems like her mother was involved for a while, but, yeah, so those, oh, and since that's up there now, I'll tell you that, talked with Melissa that and Brian can confirm this, that the big sign, it'll just say Ormond Rose Trailhead, is pretty close to being.
Yeah, I think that's actually, yeah, it's actually, I think we have it, it's on site, but it's just a matter of, I think if it does get installed, it would probably be covered up until the ribbon cutting.
Oh, right.
You know, because I think the ribbon cutting these need to be in place, ideally,
Yeah, that would be ideal, wouldn't it?
yeah.
I can't remember how long it takes for those signs to come back once Melissa sends them off.
We do need to, actually submit for these photos. So Carnegie, we need to go on their website and actually submit that we're using it.
Yeah, that's good.
And
Forgetting
the
about
other
that.
ones, so that one's fine, right?
Pay the fee on it.
Superior, I can't even really see, is it my eyes or is it working? Okay, so the ones obviously that were actually our photos, then it's totally fine. But they, like for the sports stable photos, I had to go onto Carnegie and just say usage and all that.
Which
So-
one, is it the school building? one?
Yeah, and then I don't know about the Roche.
It says, it's ours, courtesy of the Superior.
Those two, okay. And I don't mind, I can handle that if
Well,
you
that'd be
guys
great.
want me to.
Yeah, please do.
And it's just an online form, so it's easy, but we don't want to make anyone unhappy. What
That's
about
right.
the other one? Does it have?
I can't read it from here. Oh, those,
Louisville, so Louisville, oh, and I don't know if Louisville History Museum, or is it historical? I just saw that, I mean, is it actually?
that's a good question.
I think on all the plaques we did, it was historical. But we have to fill out a form for them, and I think we have to give them money.
Okay.
So I can,
That other
and the
one-
other one's Library of Congress, so that's fine.
Well, that other one, I think, right there, I think I got that one off of History Colorado, from it.
Oh, okay.
So I did that
That
way
one's
back when I
probably
wrote
fine.
the
Yeah.
article, so,
That one's probably fine, yeah.
yeah, so I think I went through that already with that one.
Yeah, and I think those are public domain anyways, all of her things, but, so I don't mind doing that. But we might want to look into the History Museum, because I don't think that's what they actually go by.
Yeah, all these are saying historical.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Yeah. But Larry, you've done a lot of work on this, so good job. And Alan, too bad Alan and Lindsay, but they've done a ton of work on it, so.
Sure have.
And I just think it's so cool, the collaboration that is happening between the town and the open space group. I just think it's really cool that we were able to be a part of it. It's neat that the parks, it's OSAC, right, that did that? Yeah, that they got our input and they actually took our input and then that we were able to do this, so.
Well, we've done it before too, so it's just, we've got this history of cooperation between the
It's really
commissions and
awesome,
committees,
yeah.
and that's a real positive, I think, right? Okay.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, want me to take care of getting a hold of Melissa on the historical there, Brian, or do you want
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
today? Anything on the caps,
Yeah,
project, Katie?
yeah, actually there is. Do you have to stand up again?
Brian, getting the workout.
So we do have an update. So, is it Dina? Is that how you say your name? Dina, okay.
If you wanna.
Not Deanna. Yep. Oh, so that you can sit? So you can sit again?
I don't know how to get rid of that right side there. It's kind of annoying, but you can still scroll. Oh, there you go. Okay.
I know.
What did you do?
Thanks for
That's
doing
why I get paid the big
Yeah.
bucks to figure that stuff out. So Dina Miller with the town, she's kind of over the CAPS
Yeah,
committee,
liaison.
right? Liaison, yeah. So, they did that call for artists several months ago. And so this is the bus shelters, for those of you, if you don't remember, but they are doing artistic renderings in 6 or 7 bus shelters. And I met with them in the fall that they wanted to do a few historic themes. So the So one of the historic themes that they came up with is the kite route. And they have chosen this artist and wanted us to look at it. I'll try and kind of, and wanted our feedback, and then they want me to be on a phone call with the lady to talk through, I think, a little bit more direction. Let me just see what she said. Feedback on the accuracy of her 2 design ideas and see if there are other ideas that should be incorporated into the design. So this one is the kite route, and then there's another one that's more about the mine camp. Well, anyways, so this is her artistic rendering of, you know, doing art and historic, which is it's pretty cool. I don't know what you guys think. I guess the main idea is the accuracy and what else would we want her to incorporate. So can everyone see it pretty good? I mean, so it's kind of neat. It has the map in the back, but it has like a map of, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. But, and then this is the historic, you know, Larry can talk more about it, but the actual kite route. And then I don't know if this is downtown. I can't really, no, this is like all, I'm just a little, I can't exactly tell like what this map, I love the idea of the map layout, but I just don't know exactly what.
Well, right there in the center, the kite route is accurate because that map's out there, so that.
Yeah.
So the map's accurate.
Yeah, and you know, you guys give me as much feedback as you want. My only thing is that the kite route map, I don't know if it needs to be quite as all the way down to Denver and everything, but then maybe you don't get the view if you don't see all of it. Yeah. So you guys give me feedback on what you think.
Yeah.
Right, so I guess that it needs to be, and let me see, hold on, then there is, this is just a different version of it. But that's not as, so what do you guys think?
And Denver puts the tail on the kite and makes it stand out.
Yeah, I guess it needs to all be on there.
I'm just trying to figure out why there's 2 boulders up there, and I can't tell.
Oh, yeah, Boulder.
I think that's gorgeous, but somewhere couldn't we have
Is
a
that
train?
Boulder too?
A train.
Since it's about.
Is that Boulder too? Yeah, I know. So I think, so maybe some feedback would be the map needs to have a little bit more, like what is this map of?
Yeah, and like you're saying,
And is it
runs that off to the left, I'm not sure what's going on over
And obviously this isn't like a high resolution version that we're looking at, which makes it, but then then is this a map of downtown Superior, which would be really cool, or is it not? I really can't tell.
It's hard to see.
Was Superior that big? Were there that many streets?
Right.
I don't think I've seen
there. Well, it might be out of scale with the rest of the other map.
But then this is kind of cool over here, how she did kind of this subway-ish look.
Yeah, what do you think, what do you think that's a map of the subway look?
Well, I think it's just artistic. I think it's just artistic. And then, because there's some over here too.
Someone said maybe having an interurban car on it someplace?
Yeah, so I think that's good feedback, that although it's kite route, it would be really neat to have either a historic photo that we have down there, right? We have those photos, or have something with a train, right?
Yeah.
Right. The kite route was specifically about the label for the interurban car.
Right.
So it's just on the other regular railroad line, but.
And I don't really see a title. like, does this mean anything to people that know nothing about it? Probably not, right? So it does need to say somewhere what this is alluding to, right? Because if you don't know that it was called kite route, all that doesn't really look like a kite, you know, but when you know that that's what it was, then it makes sense. So
I think it needs to be labeled, yeah.
so labeled with, and maybe that's somewhere else in the bus shelter, you know, so I'll just mention that it needs to be labeled.
And it looks like they're going for something transportation related since it's gonna be on the bus stop. So.
Yeah, yeah. So then my other feedback would be, what exactly are these maps?
In the back.
And can they be a little bit more clear?
Yeah.
I wonder how she did that.
Well, wouldn't you want to have the entire route from Denver visible rather than being hid by the
By the
hollyhock?
flower?
Hollyhock.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move it to the left a little
Move
or
it
something?
someplace, yeah.
Take that one out.
Yeah, okay.
In front of
Move route
Yeah.
to be more clear, to be all clear.
But there's a second proposal, is that what you're saying?
So that's this one, and then, and I don't really know exactly what this second version is, but then maybe this is how it's gonna be broken out, like if you look at that bus shelter out there. I don't know all this, but maybe these lines are how it's going
Oh,
to,
maybe so. yeah.
to lay in.
Change the class.
Um,
Oh, that's helpful.
So I think it's really cool, don't you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Nice,
I
yeah.
like the polyhogs.
Uh-huh, very colorful.
Yes.
I am curious about the birds though. Are those sandhill cranes or something that we don't tend to have here?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, you don't
Should it
see
just be geese?
any geese.
We have a lot of geese, right?
Yeah, we have a lot
of-
Look like.
Okay, so maybe the wrong type of birds.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, and Jill, do you want me to take a picture of this for you?
I just came off mute to ask you for that.
Oh,
Sorry.
Thank you.
how's it looking to you, Jim?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think Katie does a fabulous job.
Okay, so, and let me send it to you. I think I have your phone. And I think that this lady is, this artist, they're kind of, it's not really here, but they are like choosing her and she's doing cancer treatment, and I think they're a little bit like pre-selecting her, like that's what I'm reading a little bit, that it's a little bit of a special case that they are already wanting to finalize her designs a little bit quicker. Yeah, that's what it seems like. So that's that one. And Jill, when you take a look, we can go back and.
It's beautiful.
It is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. Yeah, and I missed the statement on the hollyhock.
Oh, just that it's right in the way, it's right by the,
It's showing
Yeah, it's
me,
right over it. Okay, that doesn't.
it's
Yep,
covering the
that's
Denver
what it's on the
terminal
picture.
there.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
So move it to the left or something,
Mhm.
right?
She got it already.
So
Yeah.
what if we put a columbine in there?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because I heard someone say that's more of a hollyhock's more East Coast. What if you did columbine?
Oh, we like the hollyhocks, but
There
columbine.
used to be a lot of hollyhocks around here.
Yeah, hollyhocks are
Yeah.
old farm
Yeah.
Okay, but
flowers.
maybe do a columbine.
Columbine would be cool.
Sure,
Yeah.
because she also has the,
Foxglove?
is that what those white ones are?
Oh, the white ones.
Oh, yeah, those.
Those are Shasta daisies, right?
Yeah.
Which are cute, but maybe if we could add something else. Okay, great.
Okay.
And then, so then there's the, is that on a, okay, so then the industrial mine was the other one. I'll take a picture for you. So I think the other theme was industrial mine camp. My concern, oh, and she got this info from the Superior, sorry, I'm trying to multitask, talk and send this. let me send this. She got the photos and a lot of information from the historian article. Okay, did you get that one, Jill, or did it send?
I did.
You? Okay.
I have a gut reaction to that one.
What?
The stuff in the front takes away big time from the houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about having the geese and the flowers in these,
Yeah, this seems like too many geese.
Yeah, it's almost too much stuff.
yeah.
And it looks like she did this like mirror, like a mirror image, right, on the bottom, which is a cool idea.
Oh, I see.
And obviously, I think we,
that right away either.
yeah, I think
I couldn't figure out what it was.
we just-
That was just the camp, isn't it?
we need to be careful about analyzing
Yeah.
her music rendering too much, but I do think my view is that it should be a little bit more about the mine camp and less about.
So Katie, there's a picture of the Ackland's garden in front of the house. It's in Los Superior, it's a few other places, but it would be a really cool way to bring in flowers and color
Okay.
without distracting, and it's authentic to the period.
Uh-huh.
Right, to have her do an artist rendering of, take the rendering she's got, but change the flower florally up to mimic that.
Okay. And I
Is
think.
anyone else recalling the picture I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Was it a color picture?
It's not color, but I think she could use the color she's got and just rearrange how it's positioned.
So I know which one you're talking about. There's also one on the back of the Lost Superior that's color, but I can't remember if the flowers show up in that or not. But,
And you know what she's done, right, is so she took the actual old house, right, the old mine camp house. And then this is exactly from the article that you did with us
with the new one.
renovating it, yeah. So I don't like this one as much, but I still love the idea of it, so.
I guess I'd say that too. There's something, I don't know what it is. Maybe.
I think the focus, I'd rather have the focus be a little bit more on
That's kind of
the
what I was
mine
thinking,
camp
Maybe they should be reversed.
and less on the
One
houses,
camp above
yeah,
and
Maybe
the mine
reversed.
house below or
Change
something.
the proportion.
Yeah.
okay.
Size, yeah.
It's hard to tell an artist what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
Their creation. So this same artist then, Katie, is the previous?
Same artist, yep. And it says, we're not looking to help with her design, but give accurate information about the topics. That's what I'm gonna talk to her about in the conversation. I mean, I think it's really cool. And once again, is there going to be a label? I mean, there's got to be content with it. So where are we gonna put information about what this is? I mean, it has the nice in the corner that it's an industrial mine, but that would be my feedback. I think we'll talk to the artist about it, but then maybe as a commission, we'll give a little bit more general feedback to the CAPS group about making sure that there's info, not just the historic tie. That would be my feedback. And same thing, are the birds, are these maybe a little bit more accurate birds? I don't really, or
They
these,
look more like geese than the
which
others.
is better, right?
Yeah. Those previous ones almost do look like cranes rather than geese. I guess the cranes come down this long way too.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because, so she's not here, so it's gonna be on the phone. And then she needs a Spanish interpreter, which I guess there is in some departments. It'll be an interesting, but I think she's not far. I mean, I think all we give these artists is just a little bit of feedback, and obviously in general, I think it's really cool, but maybe the main feedback would be reversing the importance of it, right? Of the, any other feedback? I mean, and oh, and the Ackland's garden, so we'll have her look at that photo. And it's just not quite as impressive as, it's not quite as colorful and impressive. But I mean, that's where she'll work her magic to make, you know, to maybe tweak it a little bit. But I think it's gonna be really cool. And,
I like it.
yeah.
Those are really nice.
And obviously, she had more to work with the, I mean, she's, well, no, I mean, there's a lot to work with this, so. Anything else, though? I mean, and this is really her first, kind of the first draft of it, which is impressive, so, because it's not that, this one needs probably just a little more.
What are the sizes of some of these? I know like a bus stop would be large.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna wrap, it has the inches on here somewhere. It's going to wrap around the bus stop. So this says, yeah, 57 by
There's
20.
four panels of 2 feet, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I don't have
Yeah,
an,
that's all right.
I don't really have an answer, but I think it will probably wrap. And then I think I'd love to give them feedback on, like I said,
It looks like.
making sure that there's
8
enough
by
good content
6.
with it. What is that?
It almost looks like it's 8 feet by 6 if you go 6 feet, if you look at those inches. And there's 4 panels, so.
Yeah, so I don't know, I mean, I think it will kind of be broken.
Yeah.
There's I don't know, so I'll ask him about that. So thank you, guys. And
You're welcome,
that's
thanks
it.
for your work. Contributions on all.
Good, yeah.
Yeah,
Excited,
yeah, it's cool.
What else, did they put that on the inside of the?
Probably. That would
One of
protect it
those-
from the weather.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd keep it out of the weather.
Yes, I know that this vinyl wrapping is something that's, I think that's what put on buses and things like that, or vehicles and so forth too, so it's really quite a,
And I'll just keep you guys updated on next steps and all that.
please do.
Good, thank you.
Let's see. Okay, so here we are, 2020 Commission leadership elections. Some discussions about who wants to do what with whom. And,
I nominate Larry.
oh,
And Karen.
I hereby decline. And so I guess the floor is open for any discussion or outright nominations if you're ready to do that.
May I make a statement now? Somebody ought to take over the Treasury's job, because I'm not doing the job that needs to be done. And I have the, I can turn over all the ledgers I have had and so that type of thing, but I think somebody that is more reliable
Oh,
ought to maybe fill in, because
well, we're in a place where
You are.
the treasurer's job is pretty much,
it doesn't take that much, really.
and we're the only commission committee that does the treasurer.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, it was originally created when we had our own account, and then the town of Superior took it over, so the treasurer's job is not really much of anything, really. Yeah, just keeping track of what the donations were and stuff like that.
Well, looks like you're doing that though.
Well, no, well, like I said, I haven't been over to the museum for a number of openings and stuff like that, so. And as far as being a member of the commission, if somebody comes along, Brian, and shows a lot of interest in being a member, I can resign and make an opening, but.
I think your resignation would be declined, so.
But anyway, I just wanted to let you know what I understand.
Appreciate that, Bob. Appreciate all you've done over the years too with all that.
Well, I've sort of enjoyed it, but I really have. But like I say, I'm not too reliable anymore.
I don't think there's anyone beating down the door for your position, so I think.
This is true.
Well,
You're
We want
occupying
you.
space, as you always say.
yeah.
I think we want you for as long as you'll have us.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what we probably ought to do is open up for, well, continue discussion or open up for nomination
Can I
of
say something?
secretary, vice chair, and chair.
Can I
Yes,
say
ma'am.
something now too?
Go, take it, Karen.
Okay, after I sent out the email the other day saying I would remain as secretary unless somebody else really wanted it, I got thinking about it, and when Mary decided that she wasn't wanting to be vice chair any longer, Wally and I got talking, and I said, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I think it's time to have some new blood as a secretary and get somebody else in here. So I would really like to not do the secretary and perhaps do vice chair. That's just my opinion, but I've been in this job since 1999, except for a short time when Larry was secretary when he first came out into the commission. You did it for a couple or 3 years, didn't you?
Jill's coming in.
Go ahead,
with a
Jill.
comment.
Oh, no, I was saying, I was texting with Larry yesterday, and I made the suggestion that I would support a nomination or nominate Karen moving to vice chair and bringing in, Vicki, I dropped your name, so bringing in Vicki as secretary to maintain some continuity across the leadership team, but also get someone in new who, as secretary, you see everything that moves in and out, so it broadens that view, and take that in there. And to Bob's point, Bob, I know you feel like you're absent a lot, and I feel like I'm absent a lot with my travel, but I'm willing to split your job with you and cover for you when you're not there.
Okay.
You've got a steady backup.
You're on,
You can
lady.
Show me the ledger, so I will jump in too, but I can be, so between you and I, we'll make a whole.
Okay.
And that's a W-H-O-L-E, not a H-O-L-E.
We weren't even thinking
But that was kind of the concept I had in texting with Larry over the last couple days, so.
Yeah, that's good.
Throwing
Thank
that
you,
out for
Jill.
discussion, and I can support the nominations that need to go in there and second them or make them if we need to.
If I could just add a real quick comment regarding the secretary position, because this, obviously that person, that new person will be responsible when they're here for taking the notes. Something other committees are doing now, which makes note-taking a little bit easier, is we have a laptop that kind of syncs with the agenda items, each committee's agenda items. So in simplest form, that person has the laptop in front of them, they're time stamping when that agenda item is being discussed or when it starts, and just typing notes into the laptop in real time. And then at the end of the meeting, they're essentially, the notes are done, so.
Well, that was a question
yeah.
because Larry had asked me this morning about being a secretary, and I thought, is it possible to have a laptop and do it
Yeah.
that way? Because I would be
Yeah.
really great to do it that way.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have thought
that's-
of bringing mine in, I just haven't done it. But-
Yeah, and this is one that we have here. It's a town laptop. It has the program on it, and it syncs. It's really easy. I used it with ACES last Thursday, and if you're good at typing, it can just kind of, it doesn't have to be, it can still be revised after the meeting, but like essentially you're capturing the notes in real time
Yeah,
and just
great.
time stamping
yeah,
each,
that would be,
you know.
that'd be cool.
And I have some stuff online, like the letterhead that we use when we send out thank you notes. I have a blank one of those with the minor on top.
Yeah.
So I can forward that to anybody that becomes secretary. And also some hints on doing it quickly.
Yeah.
I just do a save as and change what happened in the current meeting from the past one.
Okay.
And you've already got the format there then. But that, again, that's up to whoever takes over.
So we're gonna do each position.
Yeah, so you can either self-nominate or nominate someone else. And then,
Two things. So if you're the vice chair, then eventually, I mean, is it like, it's not really, it hasn't been that the vice chair eventually becomes, right?
No.
Or not, but could,
Yes.
right, but not,
I mean, sometimes that happens in some groups, but
not here.
doesn't have to.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
You have to be careful on something like that, because if that's one of the requirements, then you're liable to not get anybody to want to do any of it.
Yeah.
If you have to jump into something else down in over a certain period of time. I think each one should be handled individually.
Right. And then Larry, I have talked to Larry about this, but for all the rest of you, I don't think I'm probably gonna be helping be on the commission through 2020, through this year, but probably not beyond. I'm gonna be the chair of the Downtown Boulder Partnership, which is,
Congratulations.
thank you. It's a pretty big, oh, and I have a regular job too, which is hard, so, yeah. And children, husband also.
And somewhere in all that, you mom on top of it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, oh yes, the children, yes, I have to remember the children too.
Never forget the children.
Yes, so I will be stopping in 2021 on the commission. And maybe, not forever, maybe eventually I'll come back on, but that would be why I wouldn't throw my name in the hat for the positions.
Well, we'll talk about 2021 when we get there, so.
Yeah.
Because your request may be rejected also. But, thank you, Kitty, for clarifying that. All the other clarification points here, so. Trying to think exactly how to do this. So, is there a nomination for secretary of the Superior Historic Commission?
I think we could almost do it unless someone is competing. I think we could almost do it by acclamation and have
Sure.
Vicki.
Are you
Gratefully.
I think
interested?
Vicki would-
Yes,
I
I'll
think we-
do.
Vicki would be a wonderful secretary.
I can do the position, yeah.
Yeah, I nominate.
We haven't talked about the chair yet, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to do first?
Do a slate.
Well,
You still acceptable for
It's still acceptable.
chair?
I could probably be convinced.
Yeah, well, I'd nominate Larry.
I'm voting for bribery, though, so. We're not using the app that the Iowa Democrats did, are we? We don't count these, okay? Count the ballots. Well, it looks like we've got to put together a slate of Larry, Karen, and Vicki.
If there's been an official nomination of Larry, I'd like to second it.
I was going to say, I will nominate the team of Vicki, Karen, and Larry.
Right, exactly.
Is there a second?
Right.
I'll second.
Well, second.
Good.
If Bob,
You take it.
Bob and I will both second.
All right.
Okay, now I have a question.
Discussion.
Perhaps, and I'm just throwing this out, if maybe down the road Twyla would be interested in taking Larry's, if maybe somehow if you two could work together over this next year and, sort of, if you will, groom her or get her up on board as to what, what the handles. I mean, that, because I understand you'd like to get out of that, sometime down the road. Well, yeah, I mean, he's been doing it a long time, and it's a lot of work, and, perhaps he's really to the point where he'd really like to pull back out of that, and so rather than have somebody come in that maybe said, I can't handle it, and just throwing them into the briar patch, if you will,
Well, that's,
How do you feel about that, Twyla? I think that's a brilliant idea.
I don't know.
Think about it.
Well, that's
Think
something to
about
think
that,
about.
but I think, yeah,
well,
it might be a little too
much for this new guy, but I would love to dig in more, but sometimes I get confused as to where I should go. You know, I have interest, you know, like what to do, but it's like steering me around. I'm not quite sure. But
No, I think that's.
I'd love to work with you, you know, doing, you know, a little more closely, but I'd have to think about that one.
Maybe just some time and experience yet.
Right, yeah, that's how I feel, just a little bit more.
So I think, would you say you started in the summer? Is that when you came on?
Yeah,
Last summer?
yeah, I think July-ish,
Yeah.
July.
Well then, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the slate proposed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Eyes are above the nose, motion carried.
I do, just a side comment, that I do think the day, having the meetings during the day is something you guys, that should probably be talked about again, just to get other people. I mean, we have been, we have new people that are coming on, but just be something to think about, is doing it at 5 o'clock instead, or 5:30, or it doesn't have to be like an 8 o'clock meeting or anything, but just something to think about in the future, to get new. It's pretty rare, it's just not very easy to get people to leave.
When do the other commissions start their meetings? They're all at 7?
No, I mean, it kind of varies, like, ACES is at 5:30, OSAC, I think, is 6:30, ProStac, 7, I don't know.
They're mostly between 5:30 and 6:30.
They do vary on their starting times, though. Well, I know we always say, well, we tried that, but of course that was 10 or more years ago when we tried it too, so it's always worth considering to give it another try, a different approach to it.
Maybe give it a try in a couple months when it's starting to be lighter longer. And so the,
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have summer hours and winter hours?
something like that maybe to consider.
Because of nighttime driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a good idea.
I think we need to be receptive to new ideas and try different approaches. And if we can find something that works better all the way around than what we're doing now, then maybe we need to think about it.
Well, with that in mind, should we move on to number 8? Yes. On the agenda. So we got the spring program all set up. Well, preliminaries at least all set up. Jim, I think, has been enjoying coming by the museum. He came by last time, the last 2 times maybe.
He stayed a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
It is interesting.
You're going to have it here at the town hall?
Town hall, yeah.
I was going to say, Brian and their staff up there, they got all kinds of spaces up there.
Oh,
They
that
might be
sounds
deposed
soft.
here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably be out of there by May, April, May.
Oh, is that right?
May, definitely, yeah.
Where are you going?
That's in the works. I don't know, I mean, potentially behind town hall here, like it's kind of in the works right now, but they're gonna be starting construction at that site there by May.
But then for you to go back in, or no, that's that's all still up for discussion.
That's still up for, that hasn't,
All the surveys and stuff.
yeah.
So, I don't know if we need to talk more about that, except that I think he's found a bunch of new friends. And luckily, Danny left just as Jim was coming in the front door, so we didn't have any differences of opinion on local history, so that could get a little dicey.
Danny, no, you don't know what you did.
Has he ever said that to anybody, Vicki?
No. I don't know. You don't know what you know. You don't know what you think you know.
So I'm going to use the AV on this next thing. Oh, by the way, I'm going to pass this around. I made copies of what I have down as the history of our programs. I think there's a couple of inaccuracies in there, but otherwise close enough, as we say. Those are what I've done in the past. And again, I might have a couple of those out of order, but early on we did we tried to having two programs, one in the spring and one in the fall. That's what we call the spring program, I guess. But there's just too much going on. So I've got next on the agenda that idea that I've had about having a miners memorial. So I was able to get to the information I've been trying to get to. And in my hand, I've got the full printout of all the fatalities in coal mines in Boulder County. Now, it so happens that, this, for one sheet would be, takes two sheets to make one page here, so it's not quite, it's about half as much, but it looks like a couple hundred names. So starting there with that first one I highlighted are the industrial mine fatalities. And so here's the company and the mine, county, and so on. And anybody you know there?
Yeah.
And so I think it goes down to, Brian, you want to scroll down a little bit, please? Thank you. It goes down to about 32, so about 16, 17 fatalities in the industrial mine.
Wow.
Over starting, I think the earliest one I saw was in the 1890s.
And it was considered a pretty safe mine, wasn't it?
That's what I always thought, Mary. Yeah, I think you went too far or not far enough.
32.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, here you got it. And so this one here, that column is their nationality, their job, and the year and the age. Let's see. So there's his age. Oh, could you go all the way to the top, please? So the years means the years that they worked in the mine. Age is their age. Single or married. And this one is very interesting. Number of children. Look at that.
Oh, my.
Can you imagine that?
No.
And there's a 6 down here. And so, and then right after, shortly after this, there's, scroll down a little bit, please. Let's see. How about, hey, Wally, what do you think of that one?
Hollander, yeah.
And
It's not full of probably too.
we have the Monarch guys, but there's also one fatality in the Pluto mine. So my idea is that these guys died in the mine in Superior, and there might be somebody who resided in Superior died in another mine. I don't know if we want to get too carried away with that, but basically, I guess what I'm asking or bringing up is have a monument of some kind in the Asti Park with these names on it. And,
Be nice.
So we're at the very preliminary steps, and so obviously the next thing to do is talk to town staff and town manager and the board of trustees about financing and all that sort of thing, and design. Can you go to those two?
No, you could have it at the cemetery also, right? I mean, Asti Park, obviously everyone is there, but you could have it at the cemetery.
They are all in there?
No, but just, I mean, you know, at cemeteries, they have memorials. They have memorials for everyone, but, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you wouldn't, eventually, hopefully, people would see it.
I passed this picture out a few months ago. It's not very clear, but that's that one. It's got a statue on top of the pedestal. This is the one to my old hometown of Paonia, and then go to the next one, please. And it was real nice, except this listing was so small. It's very difficult to read those, so that would be a good thing not to do.
Yeah.
Because you have to really get up close to make out the names. And this is only about 30, 35 years old, so it's not. At any rate, that's my idea, so I thought I'd just throw that out and get some.
Where'd you get the list from?
Yeah.
Well, there's a resource. There's a guy in our area who has done nothing but compile indexes and for genealogical research. And so this is an index of called Fatal Mine Accidents in Colorado.
Okay,
He's
wow.
got another called Non-Fatal Accidents in Colorado, and then he's got, I think, I asked him the other day, I don't know him through the railroad museum, I asked him today, I think he's got about 50 of these books, and about a quarter to half an inch thick on just indexes on how you can find things. So he's a LDS genealogical researcher. So anyway, this is down in the library, but I asked him about it one day. He said, I'll just send you all this stuff. And so he sent it to me electronically instead. Didn't have to go to the library, DPL.
So how many were
Yeah,
from the
how many?
industrial mine?
Right.
16 maybe?
16?
You know, just,
16 out of the industrial?
yeah. It started was first Ambrose, yeah, so,
Yeah.
And he was 1943.
yeah. Yeah, I was
Late.
surprised how recent that was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, it'd be interesting, it will probably be too comprehensive for us to include, but it might be interesting to see if we included like the Crown and the mines that were almost next door.
Yeah.
I mean, right now they are next door as fast as we travel. But,
Yeah, this
Probably
is
couldn't get
organized
through
in
to
such a
Marshall,
way,
but-
and I can't quite figure out exactly how, but it does kind of start at Marshall and goes that way. So the Gorham mine, which is just down the road,
Yeah.
is on this list. And
But you said there was
Number
fatality in the Pluto
yeah,
mine.
there was.
That I didn't realize.
where was the Pluto?
Pardon?
Where was the Pluto?
It was just up here west of the town, just
Oh,
in the
right.
hillside up there.
Oh, right.
Across from
Okay.
Mickey's house.
The wagon mine, and
Yeah.
only had 6 or 8
And that brick building up on
working
the
it for a
hillside.
while.
Really?
That's part of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That brick building is over there is left over from Pluto mine, isn't it?
Pardon?
That brick building on the hillside? That-
At the end of Coal Creek, where the dirt road is that what you're talking about?
I know, it's not
That's
too
where
far
the-
from here.
Okay.
But,
I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
Is there a building up there yet?
There is
Oh,
some
okay.
remains of
I
a brick,
didn't realize that.
structure. Yep.
So I guess we'll pursue that with
Yeah.
the town and see what,
I think that's a great
and
idea.
I hadn't thought about the cemetery, to be honest with you. I just assumed we put it by the flagpole in Aston Park. But I
It
guess
could be anywhere, right? I mean, anywhere in
You
town.
could start out with it at the flagpole down here, and then later on, we decide we want to do that, we could perhaps do something maybe not as elaborate up in the cemetery.
maybe so.
Mm-hmm.
We got it.
Or it'd be so cool to do it like by the open space, but it's not. You know, it'd just be so neat for people to
Yeah, you had
know that
Pinneberger.
we're creepy, but to know that that is where, you know, I mean, the memorial,
Yeah, that's it.
it's not like a,
Space in Boulder County.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You always had to get permission.
probably. yeah.
But we could almost, I don't know, you might want to throw this idea out, but there is the Orland Roche trailhead, some kind of, because there are people who are looking out at it. Anyway,
lots of.
yeah, lots of choices.
Was that a surprise that there were that many? That's a lot, right?
Yeah, because we always heard it was a relatively safe mine, and compare it with the Simpson mine over in Lafayette, that's got a long list for example.
What you had on the board there was a lot of Gorham.
A
Was
lot
there
of
some
Gorhams, yeah.
huge accident there or something?
So what?
A huge accident I've not heard of? Did you always hear
I'm
about
not
the
aware
bomb,
of it,
right?
no. I'm not aware of one. Are you, Bob?
No, and I didn't know one other than, they got the fire going over there.
Yeah, so, yeah, that could be another interesting research project.
Oh, yeah.
Fleshing out this information about more than just the names.
And
Yeah, well,
invite
you got
all
a-
the families.
You got a Pinneberger
right?
there that
Yes,
was killed.
I'm sure there's families.
One of his sons lives there in Longmont right now.
Was that right?
Yeah. Well, Frank. And a daughter, I'm not sure where the daughter's at. She was Carl Morrison's wife for a while.
For a while.
Catherine.
All right, then, any other new business?
I have one piece. this on. I have one piece of new business. So y'all, I think, saw the email from Karen Snortland about the committee appointment process. So our board is thinking of shifting where right now, as a committee has a vacancy, we interview for that one vacancy and we can appoint someone as quickly as 2 weeks. We're talking about moving to a quarterly appointment process where we would kind of say, here are all the open spots. We'll still advertise them as they come up, but we won't make a decision except on a quarterly basis. The idea is that right now, we might get one candidate for an open position, and we have to decide on that candidate without necessarily knowing who else might be out there who just hasn't applied yet. So we're thinking if we shift to a quarterly process, it will save our board some time rather than having to deal with these appointments every single meeting, but also the hope is that we might get higher quality candidates if we're looking at a pool rather than just one at a time. We haven't made this decision yet, but we wanted to get feedback from the committees. So I would be curious if any of you have thoughts on this potential change.
I think the only problem is if you miss applying for, like for us, that it's harder to get, harder to get members. I mean, it might be, like some, it's like, I bet you guys are always getting people applying for them. And then you miss it, a person misses the email or the newsletter, like whatever it is.
So it will continue to go out, the call for volunteers, as frequently as it does now. It's more, but to your point, if let's say we do the selection in March and then you have a vacancy come up the next week, it would be 3 months until you can fill that position. So that's the downside. We're not filling it as quickly, but we're taking applications.
Have we ever filled anything, I mean, for us, anything in less than 3 months?
True. Well, yours was okay. Well, you guys got back on quick.
And so I'm going, I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, right? But if we had an urgent need, right, where we had sudden changeover, right, and we had a pressing vote coming and we had applicants, I think we go to the town and they would do an interim meeting in that process for us, right? But otherwise, I don't think it would swing us one way or the other, right? You ask for a special case when there's a special case, but otherwise, I think it sounds like it creates an efficiency.
And I can pass that feedback along. I can't speak for the full board. I know I'm certainly open to special cases of, gosh, this committee just lost 3 members. We need to do something different.
And they've got this vote coming up that they need a quorum.
Right. Yep.
Right?
I will share that feedback with the rest of the board, but I think that's a great idea.
And I don't know if I speak for the whole group, but my take would be, cross that bridge when you come to it, but if it makes the town more efficient, I'd rather see it go there than on some of the other possible ideas, so.
Yep.
Won't complain about that, huh?
And obviously, sometimes we just need volunteers.
Yeah, we just need volunteers.
So, we could always, if someone says, I really want to be on it, well, then we still can just have them help, Because for us, it's not about the votes as much as.
They really want to be on it. Come on, we embrace it and say, the town does a quarterly process, but till then, please join as a volunteer. We've got Alan, we've got Lindsay, we've got Maureen, we've got volunteers, right? We have a precedent, so. And I don't think they feel like any lesser of a member. So,
I think you're right.
Because we rely on them greatly.
Right.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents is like, okay.
Where's that coming?
Jill, we like that.
I just want everyone to take note of how agreeable I was.
First time, huh?
Every now and then, right?
Thanks, Jill. And,
All right, thank you. I'll pass that feedback along.
welcome, Laura. Any other new business?
It is the old business, do we have to make a decision on the quilt?
Well, I think,
People were going to, do we have to make an official decision or has that sort of?
I think we already de-ascensioned it, didn't we?
Not
well, we
officially.
agreed to, I think.
Not
I don't
officially.
think formally it has been done.
We haven't taken it off the computer or something.
Okay.
We haven't done that last step yet. I guess.
Right.
Great. Well, that step and then actually disposing of it.
Which I'm happy to put it in our, I'm happy to dispose of it in our,
Yeah, is it still in the museum?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a consensus that it was not favorable.
Yeah,
Including
and
Joe.
that no parts of it were that we could,
Right,
you know,
I don't think so.
Do we need
make
to
a
do
meaningful display to it, yeah.
do we need to do a vote on what we're going to do, or a formal thing?
I don't know, we have a de-accession, I know a de-accession something, but,
We had to de-accession all those things from a town member who withdrew her
That's right.
donations.
that's true.
Yeah, and you guys know that was like right when I started, so it was like 8 years ago.
Yeah. I think our committee can handle it.
I think if we don't need to do something formal, I think we need to just all of a sudden finger in each ear, one over your eyes, and pull the plug and it's gone.
That's a formal process. Any other old business?
Yeah, I was asked the other day, I was at the sports stable, and oh, by the way, Katie, everything looks fabulous. Lots of compliments, but I was asked a question, I said, yeah, are the people who sponsored the pictures, weren't they supposed to get a small version of what was hung up, or was that something we talked about and didn't do?
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't remember.
I didn't remember either, but, you know, one of the guys on the Rock Creek board, well, one of the gals actually said, yeah, what are we going to do with the small picture that comes with this? Where are we going to put that? And I'm like, don't know anything about that, but I'll ask the question.
Oops. Let me see I'll like look back at the
What's
flyer
the
and.
communication said? Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because I didn't know the answer, and they were like, yeah, I don't know what we do with it. We just were curious. So.
Yeah, I do remember we talked about it. I'll look into it.
Check that out,
Okay.
Katie.
Okay.
Good question, though. Any other old business? Well, moving on to new business then, I think it's just simpler for me to send out an email at the beginning of the week to see who's available on the next opening, but that sounds okay to you. Raise your hand if you're available, we'll just get an idea.
Yeah,
I am.
March 7th.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you say oh, yeah.
You could be available.
Karen raised her hand and Wallace went right up too.
I know which side of the bread my vote is on.
Okay, we'll be in touch on that one then. I will probably attend the next roundtable. Anybody else is welcome to go if they want to. And this is confirmation, so May 2nd at 2:15 or whatever will be our next historic walk.
First Saturday,
First Saturday, yeah.
First Saturday?
Yeah,
so
right after
after
the
the museum.
museum closes.
Yeah. May
And I would
2.
assume that some of us get together and put the markers up and do all
Bill, we
that.
could do that.
Yeah. If Bob is able to do that, we can get him to go through the week and check these things.
That's right.
He could be
Watch out, Bob.
Yeah.
our point man.
I sure would like to, Wally, I'll tell you.
Bob could be our point man and see if there's anything poisonous.
We'll get stovepipes,
Yeah.
you can wear so if they strike you, they can hit
Keep
the
it up.
stovepipe.
Get rid of the bees and.
I've got anybody have another new business? Katie?
Well, I just was thinking about the brochures that we had made and that we haven't really come up with a distribution, a way to distribute them or to refill them, or, were they here, some of them were here and we have them in a box. So, I'm sure there's stuff at the sports stable. So maybe for the next meeting we could talk about like every quarter, like someone going around and refilling things,
That's a
or,
good point, 'cause I can't remember. There's
and because
still-
we finally made the brochure,
Yeah.
and, but it'd be nice if we identified places that we could put it and just make sure it's
Hey,
filled.
Katie,
Uh-huh.
would that be a good job for the youth council to, at one time we said, how do we interlock, where can they help?
Yep.
You know, if they're looking for projects, I don't know. Let's add it to the discussion for next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. We haven't done our interaction with that group like we have proposed.
We talked about it, but
That'd be good. I was at a meeting last night, so this is going to be, hopefully you can follow this okay. We know that there's the two monuments over by Flatiron Crossing Mall. One was for Joe Jaramillo, who died in the, one is to all 8 miners who died in the Monarch mine disaster explosion. And one's for Joe Jaramillo himself because he never got his body out. And so both of those are, you talk about going past it on that trail, and goes down from the dog park down toward Boulder Rock Creek. Someplace in the process, a group of students at Monarch High School and their sponsors, teacher sponsors, came up with the idea of moving the Jaramillo monument over to Monarch High School. And somehow it happened as one of those things that they talked to this Broomfield Parks and Recreation. They talked to Broomfield and said, yeah, you can move it if you want to, but we won't do it for you. So they had Boulder Valley School District personnel and Parks and Rec loaded up. They brought it over to Monarch High School, and the people at Monarch didn't know it was coming.
Oh.
So they got it someplace. In the meantime, their idea is where do they want to put it at the Monarch High School, and what do they want to do in terms of signage and explanation and educational opportunities, what have you. So the other one is still over there with the 8 names on it, including Joe's, and the other one, the Jaramillo Monument, which used to be when you're driving from Boulder to Denver, you could see up on the hillside, you could see the monument with a little iron fence around it.
Right.
And then when they built Flatiron Crossing, they were able to put it in what's called Barra Park. That thing's called Barra Park. So anyway, I was at a meeting last night about that, and so they're really excited and enthused. Got a lot of people on board, but they don't know exactly what to do next. So I thought of this wrapping, and now they got the idea, well, they should do some wrapping on the windows at the student center and things like that with photographs and what have you, and interpretive texts here and there, and maybe put it by the flagpole or put it in a flower bed or something like that. The committee, the people who were there last night were from Monarch High School, and the lady Josephine Nahara, who was the granddaughter of Joe Jaramillo. And so they've got the family on board, so that's good. So, and the family is very excited about that. Of course, what they're looking at is making sure that people who visit, there are students at the school or visitors at the school, understand where the name of the school came from the Monarch coal mine. And number 2, technically. And that's where it is now as of last night, and they're kicking around a lot of typical brainstorming things about what to do with it next and how to best display it and minimize damage or vandalism or anything like that. So, so that's in the works. In the meantime, that other one's still over there, and I mentioned that someone told me it was kind of messy over there, and they said that they, of course, that Broomfield Parks and Rec, but they had heard something along those lines also. So the word's out that it sounds like those dug it up because it was in the ground another couple of feet, I think. So they must have dug it up and just didn't straighten up all the dirt and things.
Right, because there's trash there, and there's a hole like this with a little bit of water in it, and all the irrigation pipes around it some of them are sticking out. And that's been like that. When, do you know when they took because it's been
fairly
like that.
recently.
I'd say a couple of years
Oh,
almost.
really? Okay.
Because I don't even remember two of them back there. And I didn't realize that they had taken one out, and that's been like that for a long time. I don't know when, but
Well, there's not as efficient as Superior Parks and Recreation.
no.
So I just thought I'd give you an update on that, and that was, that accident happened in 1936, and it was, the dust in the coal mine wasn't treated properly. It was supposed to have lye on it, is that right? And,
They didn't have the rock dusting
Rock
that
dust, yeah.
they should have, you know, and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and, you know, dust collected, you know.
So the spark.
Same thing happened in West Virginia about 7, 8 years ago, the same bloody thing happened.
Really? Wow.
So a spark from something ignited the coal dust, and had a huge explosion, and 8 guys died. And, you know, I think there was a mine camp there, like our mine camp. There was a mine camp at the Monarch Mine.
Yeah.
And so some of them were from the mine camp, some were from Broomfield, the old part of Broomfield, and you know where those elevators are, grain elevators are, and a couple from Louisville. So nobody from Superior. Those maybe we could take it and bring it over here and treat it nicer.
The old Union Jack liquor store there in Louisville, there's an old Monarch mine
building
structure, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Then there was the dance hall over there, wasn't it? Before it became
Well, yeah, it was the old, gee whiz, and I can't bring up the name because I spent a few hours.
Yeah, we have to have full disclosure here, Bob. So.
It was a nice, old,
Oh, what's his name, huh?
yeah. Yeah, senior moments, boy.
Any other new business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that the meeting be adjourned.
All right, Bob.
Second.
Okay. We're adjourned. We adjourn to,
Do the officers start?
Next meeting, yeah.
Next meeting?
Next meeting, yeah, so, we can keep the chat.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
so, I will.
Sorry, I was blue, but I'm kidding.
Yeah, and Karen, maybe if you work with her, I'll get you.
Yeah.
We'll get the.
Yeah, I have some stuff to pass over to you.
Okay.
I need to get it, or, he's actually not exaggerating. I'm gonna do a little purge of, I've got way too much stuff saved.
Okay. Well, I can email you and then we can maybe coordinate if that's easy.
Bye, Jill.
Yeah. Bye, Jill.
Bye, Jill.
Bye, Jill. That'll work.
Okay, be well.
I'll be your bud.
You're on, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think we should send you a card.
Do you want a card sent to the city?
Yeah.
Vicky's first job is to send you a card.
So you want me to send her a card?
Well, the history of this is way back in 1999, Ray Autry was alive, and he was the secretary to this group, and he got killed. And Wally said, would you take this over just until we find somebody else? I wasn't even part of it.
Yeah, he had an aneurysm.
And, yeah, and then, well, the group was just starting out. They were still meeting in our dining room or. I'll be on. But that's a little bit of the history of, and so, they never found anyone else, and I just kind of did. Okay, and I went, and when I retired, I wanted to go work at the Boulder Humane Society.
Well,
I didn't want to do my stuff. But I really enjoy it. Oh, I know, I can add that to my agenda. Yeah, I have a good friend that works with the dogs down there 3 times a week. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I actually went for a walk with my friend, and she was walking right, somebody's dog.
Walk your cat?
I'm like,
I need to.
anyway, the dog didn't like me.